Thank you everybody. It's a great pleasure to be back with you. This time I'm going to whisk you through 2009 in rhyme. So, 2009 began, if you cast your minds back, with two very auspicious events. The first of which was the inauguration of Obama, who art in Washington. Kenyan is thy name. Thy time has come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in the United States of America. Give us this day your dazzling oratory, and foretell us our future as we forgive those who voted against you. And lead us not into conflagration, but deliver us from Iraq. For thine is the presidency, the power and the glory, for 4 years and perhaps 4 more. Amen. So that was the first of the two auspicious events. The second one happened rather closer to home. Does anybody know what this is? It's a waxwing. Excellent, it's a waxwing. And I saw waxwings once when I was tiny. How old would I have been?
5, 6.
5, 6, which is a while back now. They came from Scandinavia. They come from Scandinavia. One winter, they came to our garden, stripped a berry tree and left. And I've been waiting ever since to see them again, for them to come back. And this year they came back. So it was very auspicious. They came to Fulford Ings. One winter were waxwings by Fulford Ings. The sparrows chitter-chatter, and the collared dove sings. One winter were waxwings by Fulford Ings. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree, said he. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree. The waxwings plucked berries by Fulford Ings. The starlings screech and the blue tit sings. Plump berries in bunches by Fulford Ings. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree, sings he. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree. And people, they flocked to Fulford Ings. Oh, the wonder, the splendour of fine feathered things. Strangers gathered by Fulford Ings. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree, says he. Sing ho for the rowanberry tree. Then the sparrowhawk swooped by Fulford Ings, and the birds they scatter, and the silence rings. Oh, the eerie howl as the cool killer swings. Low by the rowanberry tree swings he, low by the rowanberry tree. One winter were waxwings by Fulford Ings, and the goldfinches bicker, and the mistle thrush sings. One winter were waxwings by Fulford Ings, and the world goes around and around, I've found. The world goes around and around. And the wonderful thing was, there was wonderful birdsong, and people did gather and start yakety-yakketing, and I took my video camera there, and if you go to my website, to the bit that says blog, and then videos, you can click on a video, and actually see and hear, more to the point, I'm not the world's best video recorder, but hear this lovely, lovely bird song, and people chattering as well. It was a beautiful time when people just came together for something that was uplifting, which, believe you me, if you cast your minds back to the beginning of the year, we jolly well needed, because economically speaking, was not very chirpy, was it? Persimmons shedding thousands, that's the talk. Barretts, Taylor Wimpey, Shepherds too, the credit crunch is biting here in York. Tylers, chippies, roofers, time to walk. Brickies, plumbers, sparkies, what to do? Persimmons shedding thousands, that's the talk. Saturday night on Micklegate, still raucous, but petrol's up and food, gas bills due. Credit crunch is biting here in York. Tourists flock in millions come to gawk at buildings built when fairer trade winds blew. Persimmons shedding thousands, that's the talk. Repossessions rising, vultures stalk. Apartment projects mothballed, once bijou. Credit crunch is biting here in York. In real estate, the options now are few. Job centres are heaving, join the queue. Persimmons shedding thousands, that's the talk. Credit crunch is biting here in York. So, not good at the start of the year. Who do we have to thank for all this? The bankers. The bankers. And what do they want? The bankers want their bonus, but the onus is, I say, on the bankers now to thank us for the billions we put their way. Their bonanza was a cancer, and it's eaten half away our economy. So it's got to be. It's time for them to pay. Thank you. Now, most popular banker of them all. And this is? Fred, yes, Sir Fred Goodwin. Winner takes it all. I've a penchant for a pension, keep the wolf from the door. Around 650k should do, perhaps a little more. The company I ran's not quite the place it was before, but I've a penchant for a pension, keep the wolf from the door. I've a penchant for a pension. Did I mention? I'm retired. I didn't jump, I wasn't pushed, I wasn't sacked or fired. The company I used to run has virtually expired, but I've a penchant for a pension. Did I mention? I'm retired. I've a penchant for a pension. I've got years ahead of me. Due to circumstances unforeseen, I'm an early retiree. The company I ran is mired in dire insolvency, but I've a penchant for a pension and a life of luxury. So we're into March. I don't know if any of you recognise either of these two characters. Well, I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of the early part of the year in the company of Evan Davis and Robert Peston from the BBC, who were trying to explain to us how all this international credit crunch, international financial crisis had happened. I spent a lot of time in their company, and it seemed to be that you could trace it back to these two chappies, one of whom is called Myron Scholes, and the other of whom is called Fisher Black. And they came up with something called the Black-Scholes formula, which is some terribly complicated formula for the pricing of derivatives, options and things. So it was all very complicated, and it took them many programmes to explain how the financial crisis happened. At the end of all that, it seemed to me that it wasn't really the Black-Scholes model so much as really it could be reduced to the black holes model. So this is my understanding of the credit crunch, the international global financial crisis, how it happened. So, the black holes model. The collateralized debt obligation fueled a frenzy of wild speculation. The bankers went bonkers, the plonkers, and caused the collapse of more than one nation. That was it, basically, in a nutshell. It took them hours and hours to explain it to them. And then I thought, maybe that's slightly oversimplistic. I was worried I hadn't quite got the nuances of the international economic system sorted. So I have a friend who is an economics don at Cambridge. So I ran this by him. I said, the collateralized debt obligation fueled a frenzy of wild speculation. The bankers went bonkers, the plonkers, and caused the collapse of more than one nation. And he said, yes, basically, that's what happened. So that is what happened. That is why we all ended up in such a hole. Right, just when we thought it was just the banks that had all collapsed, the building societies were okay. We wake up one morning in March, Dunfermline Building Society. Do you remember that? The Dunfermline Building Society went bust. It got taken over by the Nationwide. Dunfermline done trading, done gone down the Swanee, done run up huge debts, done run out of money. Gordon done bailing out banks going bust. Dunfermline done folding, in Nationwide we trust. Right, so enough of banks. Time for something different. April, a world record was set in April in America for the most number of text messages sent and received in 1 year. No, in 1 month. 1 year. 1 month. Any idea what the world record-breaking number of text messages sent and received in 1 month by one person?
2,000.
Oh my goodness, up a lot. Add a couple of noughts. It was 217,000 text messages in 1 month. Now, apparently in January of this year, that was hot on the hill. That was deliberate. They were trying to break the record. In January, there was also a report of a teenage girl in California, yes, whose parents were slightly taken aback when the monthly bill arrived to discover she had sent 14,528 text messages. And the bank statement, the mobile statement when it arrived, ran to 440 pages. So, for any teenager thinking of emulating her, I think they should take note of the fate of Henry Sloane, who texted on his mobile phone and was early cut off in dreadful agonies. The chief defect of Henry Sloane was texting on his mobile phone. His mother, the recipient of all his texts, was impotent to staunch the flow of mangled words that issued from his thumb in herds. He texted morning, noon and night. She couldn't see an end in sight. He texted her before she woke. He texted, unlike normal folk, to let her know he was awake from across the hall, for heaven's sake. He texted often, if you please, to say he was about to sneeze. He texted her when he got home. Why not the doorbell? Why the phone? From texting he would not desist. It nearly drove Mum round the twist. He texted her, but would not speak. From lack of use, his voice grew weak. And friends, this texting was not cheap. The monthly bill made Mother weep. So she sought a cure for his disease from an establishment that charged high fees. Yes, his mother thought that boarding school would cure the problem. What a fool. Texting mater from the dorm is, it transpires, quite the norm, and though it's frowned upon in prep, Henry soon learned to sidestep this rule and also found in class ways to text his mum, alas. Driven nearly to the brink, his mother, sensibly, I think, removed him from there without pomp and sent him to the local comp, where texting, of course, is also rife. My friends, it is a fact of life and death, I am afraid to say, for as young Henry made his way from school last Thursday afternoon, texting that he'd be home soon, head bent over keypad, he, lost in mobile reverie, didn't notice what he oughter, which led to his untimely slaughter. The gory details I shall abjure, suffice to say he is no more. A life cut short, a text unsent. The reason why is evident. Addiction to technology reduces life expectancy. This fact, I feel, is worth remembering so you all avoid a vile dismembering. Right. April. May was a big month for poetry. It is Carol Ann Duffy is our first female poet laureate, and I was invited, actually, by the Beeb to give the poet laureate some advice in verse on her new role. So there was a group of us invited to give some advice. So my mind went back to when we had our first female Prime Minister. Do you remember when Maggie took power, and when she arrived at Downing Street, she paraphrased the prayer of St. Francis. So I thought my advice for Carol Ann Duffy would be to do the same thing. So where there is discord, may you bring euphony. Where there is error, may you bring scansion. Where there is doubt, may you bring rhyme. And where there are royal weddings, may you bring sonnets of sterling sincerity. Or failing that, limericks. Actually, I was also thinking about what is the role of the poet laureate in the 21st century. So I gave them a second poem as well, which went, poetry, opium of the masses, feed their habit, feed their habit. Poetry for the working classes, let 'em have it, let 'em have it. Poetry, raise your champagne glasses, to where are we? Tritter, chat it. Poetry for the lads and lasses. Twitter, chav it. Poetry with OAP bus passes. Zimmer, jab it. Poetry, opium of the masses. Live it, fab it, give it, gab it. Pitter, pat it, tit for tat it, skit it, scat it, grit it, bat it. That's what I thought she should be doing this year. Big month for poetry. Anybody know who this is? Yes, Ruth Padell, who for a brief moment was also our first ever Oxford Professor of Poetry. 8 days she lasted, yes. Now, I quote here, the first female... So the 17th of May, the newspaper said, Ruth Padell has been elected the new Oxford Professor of Poetry. First woman to take the role since it was created in 1708. And then 25th of May, the first female Oxford Professor of Poetry resigned today, following her involvement in an alleged smear campaign against a former rival. Now, I was also asked by the Beeb, or by some newspaper rather, to comment on this, but I know neither of them, so I thought it was best to keep my counsel. However, in a flight of fancy, I had written something inspired by this, but I would like to make it perfectly clear it's not about the people involved. So this was a poem called The Oxford Professor of Skullduggery. The Oxford Professor of Skullduggery paces round the quad, musing on matters metaphorical and on how she landed the job. Had she had world enough and time, she would have run a clean campaign. But the meter was ticking, with votes to be cast. The pretender had to be slain. The Oxford Professor of Skullduggery prepares to pen her first line. But then her scheming comes to light, and she is forced to resign. As I say, not based on this lady at all. I know her not. Now then, now things really got going in May when the Telegraph started publishing MP's expenses. Yes, so this is the poem that John heard on the Today programme. Last orders. Order! This one's on the house. Order! Tampons for my spouse. Order! A kitchen from IKEA. Order! Quick, this financial year. Reorder. My résidence secondaire is this one. No, it's that one. There's more needs doing there. Reorder. House 3 has got dry rot. Reorder. That's 4 homes on the trot. Order. Use a little nouse. Order. It can all be on the house. Order. Need to dredge the moat. Order. Scarcely time to vote. Reorder. Look, no capital gain. Reorder. All aboard the gravy train. Reorder. What's that plumber's name? Reorder. Loose eats bust again. Order. The country's on its knees. Order. A plasma telly, please. Order. Smuggler's a bug in a John Lewis rug. Order. Time to pull the plug. 6th of June was the 65th anniversary of D-Day landings, yes. Slight problem with President Sarkozy. Liberté, égalité, fraternité as well, for everyone except Sa Majesté la Belle. Bienvenue Obama, bienvenue G. Brown, but deux French doigts too, the Commonwealth and Crown. We landed on the beaches, we landed from the air, but 65 years later, our monarch won't be there. Mieux vaut tard que jamais, the Yanks have joined the fray. Charles now has an invite and he'll be there on the day. We landed on the beaches, we landed from the air, but 65 years later, our monarch won't be there. This is how you thank us, President Sarkozy. Nul point scored for transmanche diplomacy. back to those expenses. So, on the 18th of June, the government finally caved in, or saw the light, or depending on how you want to view the matters, and put all the expense forms online. And I learnt a new word, redacted. I don't know about you, I've never heard of redacted before. Anyhow, these were the redacted versions that went online. So it's all in the open, all on the net, all of their expenses for all of us to vet, all in the open for every MP, except for the bits they don't want us to see. All in the open, all online, all of the claims forms for your MP and mine, all the facts and figures, all on show, except for the bits they don't want us to know. Freedom of information, accountability, democracy in action, true transparency. All is revealed at parliament.uk, except for the bits they want to hide away. Oh, July. Anybody know who these two people are? Arlene Phillips and Alicia Dixon. Well, I'm very impressed because I had to find pictures of these people. I'm not a Strictly Come Dancing person, but I understand, because even for someone who isn't a Strictly Come Dancing person, reached my ears that they were getting rid of the more mature woman and replacing her with a younger model. And Joan Bakewell, the ageism czar, was kicking up a stink about this as well. So, how does one deal with the problem of ageing as a female? Well, a little bit of liposuction goes a long, long way, removing flab that wibbles and wobbles as you sway and shimmy on the dance floor or run to catch a bus. Liposuction smooths you out with very little fuss. No need to count the calories, no need to give up booze. Just book a quick appointment anytime you choose. An itty-bitty facelift will stop your eyebrows sagging. At a stroke, remove all signs of midlife muscles flagging. Permanent astonishment, vulcanate surprise will replace the current droopiness masking both your eyes. Just a small incision, just a little pain. Menopausal women can look 17 again. Simple shot of collagen will plump up skinny lips, giving you the perfect pout to launch 1,000 ships. Your lipstick bills will rocket, so much labial flesh to cover. And imagine the pneumatic bliss of kissing your new lover. A squirt of something squidgy. You'll feel a little prick. 10 minutes of our treatment is sure to do the trick. Imperfect genes, no problem. Ditto time and tide. Wattles, jowls, just nuke them with surgical aegicide. Nature, she's a heartless bitch. She lets us down and down. Don't let her get the upper hand. Don't sit around and frown. Whip out your Visa card right now. It really is a doddle. Nip and tuck and tighten, and behold, a younger model. Right, here's another test for you. Do you know who either of these people are?
Daniel Craig.
Oh, this is very impressive. Daniel Craig, I understand him to be the one on the right. Yes, the one on the right, who's James Bond, is that right? And the one on the left is also a Hollywood star, and a Hollywood star, Hugh Jackman, apparently. They were appearing in a show on Broadway and had to contend with what a lot of actors are having to contend with now, which is people's mobile phones going off. And they hit the headlines because they carried on in character and dealt with these people and their mobile phones without changing character. So, this is my solution to the problem of mobile phones going off during shows. Peter, behave. He doesn't know how to work his mobile phone, so I don't think we're in any danger there. Right, emails offering me Viagra flow in torrents like Niagara. Oh, the joys of the electronic age. My Digibox has channels selling soap and towel and flannels. Ah, the joys of the electronic age. With sat-nav on the dashboard into bridges, vans now crash. Lord, oh, the joys of the electronic age. Phone a helpline and you're sure to be put through to Bangalore. Ah, the joys of the electronic age. My avatar's a blonde being hounded by James Bond. Ah, the joys of the electronic age. My real identity's been took Someone nicked it off Facebook. The joys of the electronic age. Let's leave technology behind for tonight, if you don't mind. Let's withdraw from the electronic age. Please switch off your mobile phone so we can be here all alone, a million miles from the electronic age. That's my solution to the problem. We'll see if it works or not over the course of this evening. Beep, 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 beep. Right, now, we skip now. Oh, where are we? October. Oh, yes, now, I was looking for an image to go with this poem. You may or may not feel this is appropriate, so after 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I will move to a more savoury one. So you may remember that the Irish had a vote on the Lisbon referendum, on the Lisbon Treaty last year, and they got it wrong. Yeah, they got it wrong. They voted no, and that was the wrong answer. They were supposed to vote yes. So in October they had another referendum so that they could vote the right way this time. This is the second coming. The requisite answer is yes. Nothing more, nothing less. How many times must we stress? The requisite answer is yes. Gratification's a no-no. Gratification won't do. It's ratification we're after. We've got to push this thing through. The requisite answer is yes. Nothing more, nothing less. How many times must we stress? The requisite answer is yes. Dublin's fair city looked iffy, but at last they've seen the light. So it's over to Warsaw and Prague now, the last two fronts of the fight. The requisite answer is yes, with all possible vitesse. How many times must we stress? You have to acquiesce. Lisbon's the future, liebe Leute. It's adios, solitaire. All hail, EU citizens. Votre président, Tony Blair. But of course that didn't happen. Instead we got... Who is our president? Anybody know? No. He's a Belgian, isn't he? He's a Belgian. We have a Belgian, yes. We have a Belgian president, but none of us know who he is. Right, anyhow, but we do not have President Tony Blair. Now then. And this is Darwin. It is indeed Darwin, because of course this year is the 200th anniversary of Darwin's birth. I'm sure that fact has not escaped you. What is he doing in October when his birthday was February, which is when I did my Darwin show? Because the 8th of October was National Poetry Day, and the theme of National Poetry Day was heroes and heroines. So I chose as my hero, not Darwin in fact, but one of Darwin's heroes, because I don't know if you know, but the last book that he wrote was all about worms. He was very big on worms, and it was he who discovered just how important the humble earthworm is, that without the earthworm, there'd be no life, really. They wouldn't be able to support us. So, I wrote a poem for National Poetry Day, theme heroes and heroines, called Darwin's Heroes. So I saw some recoiling there. Ungrateful child, do not recoil. Be thankful for the earthworm's toil. Quiet, unobtrusive, loyal. Without the worm, we'd have no soil. That was my National Poetry Day poem. Where are we now? Yes. Now, did you know that there is a Prince Philip Designers Prize? Oh, well, good, then you're all far more intelligent and clued in than I am. Right, and it was the 50th anniversary of Prince Philip's Designer Prize this year, and he gave an interview. And I don't know if you remember, a little bit of that interview was played on the news. He was talking about the difficulty of recording things on a video machine or a DVD, and that you either end up lying on the floor with a torch in your teeth, a magnifying glass and an instruction book, either that or you have to employ a grandson aged 10 to do it for you. This reminded me of a certain relative of mine who may be present, who does enjoy buying new gadgets and then often has to seek assistance from 10-year-olds to try and get them to work. So he was the inspiration for this poem. Right. Last Christmas, Laura's parents decided to invest in a DVD recorder. So they bought the very best. It had a massive built-in hard drive, HDMI connectivity, five advanced recording modes, and a setup trademarked simplicity. I kid you not, our setup is trademarked simplicity. They brought it home excitedly, unpacking it at speed. Her father scrabbled breathless for a manual he could read. When Laura came to have a peek, her dad regained his poise and said, "No, children, near the DVD. It's not one of your toys." So Laura tiptoed quietly out and left him in the room, where he toiled for 3 whole days and nights in ever-mounting gloom. He didn't seem to understand one word the manual said, and all the buttons that he pushed flashed green instead of red. Day 4 dawned, and Laura poked her head around the door, where she found, to her surprise, her father writhing on the floor. "I can't go on. It's gobbledygook. I'm tearing out my hair." And then he crawled away in tears, a man in deep despair. So Laura started straight away to put things back to rights. She set the timer properly, stopped the flashing lights, set the day, the month, the year, tuned in all the channels, put the thing in standby mode, and shut the fascia panels. The DVD is clearly child's play. So it's now out of bounds to Dad and to Mum and Auntie Sylvia and especially Uncle Brad. Laura is in complete control by her father's own decree, and childless DVD owners can consult her for a fee. Right. November. Ooh, it's the bankers again. Guess what? The bankers still want their bonus, but the onus is, I still say, on the bankers now to thank us for the billions we put their way. Their bonanza was a cancer and it's eaten half away our economy, so it's got to be that it's time for them to pay. Are they listening? I think not. Oh, competition time. Right. I entered a competition this month, where are we, December? Yes, in November. The competition was you had to make up a limerick that encapsulated the plot of a novel, of a well-known book. So I'm going to test you, okay? I'm going to try you out. See how you do. So once you know what it is, or have an idea, just pipe up. Maybe wait till the end of a line, okay? So the first one's easy. Okay, so from the farm they banished the people. Hurrah, cried the beasts, we're all equal. Animal Farm, right. So I'll do it from the beginning. From the farm they banished the people. Hurrah, cried the beasts, we're all equal. But superior plotters with trotters, the rotters, took over. The end. There's no sequel. Right, this one's quite easy as well. Right, so this goes, a dashing musician, Corelli, kind of gives the game away there. Right, a dashing musician, Corelli, and a Greek girl get on very welly. The war shapes their fate. He leaves it almost too late to discover her love is indelible. Didn't quite get that. Right, next one. Holed up in provincial France, Emma yearns for heady romance. Oh, who was that? Right, top prize, excellent. Yes, Madame Bovary. So, holed up in provincial France, Emma yearns for heady romance. Illicit sex in a carriage is no cure for her marriage. Love leads us a merry dance. Okay, next one. A cock and bull story whose prose...
Shandy.
Oh my goodness, lady back here gets gold star. Tristram Shandy. So, a cock and bull story whose prose is elliptical, whereas the nose of our hero is shorter than God planned it ought to be. What is the plot? Heaven knows. Another one, right. The Jodes all take to the road. The Jodes all take to the road. Even eluded our star pupil at the back. Right. The Jodes all take to the road to ease their drought-stricken load. Oh, are you with me? Oh, Steinbeck, yes. Grapes of Wrath. Yep, very good. The Jodes all take to the road to ease their drought-stricken load. They lose kin en route to scant work, picking fruit. Life is even more hard than they knowed. Right, there's 3 more. Okay, a mystery plague grips Iran. Thank you, yes, Camus' La Peste. A mystery plague grips Iran. Seal off the town, that's the plan. Do your job well. You deserve this bleak hell. Is the medical cleric your man? Now, this is a tricky one. This David and Goliath story threatens to get very gory. But our hero, a mouse, uses all of its nous to escape, so the end's hunky-dory. It's a children's book. This David and Goliath story threatens to get very gory. But our hero, a mouse, uses all of its nous to escape, so the end's hunky-dory. It's on the tip of her tongue. I know that's been goo.
Gruffalo.
Yes! Gold star. The Gruffalo. The Gruffalo. Yes. Right, last one. So, this one's slightly easier for... Yes, it's not a children's book now. I expect you to get it after the first line, just so as you know. Young Gregor woke up as a bug.
Metamorphosis.
Thank you. Excellent. Yes, Kafka's Metamorphosis. Young Gregor woke up as a bug. His family all thought, ugh. Locked up in his room, he sank into deep gloom. Oh, that should have been room, shouldn't it? Locked up in his room, he sank into deep gloom. If only they'd spared him a hug. Anyhow, well done. Well done. Excellent. So, they were my limericks in my competition. Oh, what do you know? The RBS. The RBS bankers, we're in December now, still want their bonus, but the onus is, I still say, on the bankers now to thank us for the billions we put their way. Their bonanza was a cancer and it's eaten half away our economy, so it's got to be that it's time for them to pay. Now, you may remember at the beginning of this week, last week, the Royal Bank of Scotland directors were threatening to quit if they weren't allowed to have their bonuses. Oh, sorry. And I'm... On the 7th, so where are we now? 10th, so 3 days ago, Alistair Darling agreed with me. And he announced a windfall tax on all the bonuses, not just of the RBS people, but of all the bankers, as I understand it, in London, whose bonuses are over 25,000, I think it is. Yes, 50% windfall tax. You may or may not agree. I seem to think that's rather a good idea. Right, now then. Oh, December. Yes, takes us to Christmas. Christmas Day, turkey, crackers, carols, presents, pudding, cards, tinsel, baubles, candles, holly and charades, mistletoe and chestnuts, snowmen, robins, beer, wrapping paper mountains, mulled wine and good cheer, reindeer, myrrh and sleigh bells, black ice, freezing fog, peace, goodwill, and ho, 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 a furtive, festive snog. Mince pies, Scrooge, a Yule log, shepherds and a star, the Queen's speech on the telly, relis from afar. A partridge in a pear tree, bye-bye lully-lulay, God rest ye merry gentlemen, jingle all the way. Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Aaron.